If you want to make some fantasy picks on your favorite sports, check out Underdog Fantasy. It's all the rage, where you can choose higher or lower between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 325 times your entry. Use the code K100 at the Underdog Fantasy website, on the app, or at our personalized link, and you can receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash as well as a free pick. Underdog Fantasy offers a unique approach to fantasy sports, and it's a simple pick-em style format. You can select players you believe will outperform expectations without the complexities of traditional daily fantasy sports. The user-friendly interface and growing community make it easy and fun to play, plus it's available in over 30 U.S. states. We will share our picks for you every week on K100 Sports. You can follow along or play against us. So use the code K100 at UnderdogFantasy.com on the app or at the link included in the show notes and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. UnderdogFantasy.com. It's an underdog thing.
So I think that, so here's my second question. Very good answer. The second question is, do you think, this is my hypothesis, all right? Do you think that the honeymoon, well, it's obviously over, but do you think that at the beginning, Tony was getting a pass because it was fresh, it was new, it was different, and they were giving him Booker of the Year when he wasn't really booking anything great, and 4 times, which just showed that the influx of the fans and the observers bigger than we thought? Because I was watching, we went over all the awards this year, and there was some where you were like, how did AEW win this? Yeah. And we're not being haters. We always say this on the show, Alfred. We don't hate, we just state. You know what I'm saying? And so do you think that people started to see the show? Because I cannot believe, and he doesn't have a production meeting, how you can run a wrestling show for 3 hours or 2 hours without a production meeting is beyond me. But nevertheless, do you think people started to hear this guy doesn't do production meetings, he doesn't listen to anybody, he throws temper tantrums, and he's kind of been exposed to the point where when he went to Australia, he was booed, but obviously that was because of the bait and switch. But there was another time, which I'm sure you saw this, where he was trying to get people to chant some Inoki, and they booed him.
Very awkward, yes.
Yeah, it's almost like their own fan knows the guys. What do you think?
Yeah, that's part of it. In this Wrestling Observer Award, this Wrestling Observer audience is the hardest of the hardcores who skew AEW. And that's why you're still seeing some AEW properties win awards, like Will Ospreay was very close, or he actually won the award for Best High Flyer and stuff of that nature. That you're going to see that, okay? You're going to see Tony Khan actually still did place pretty well in the top booker of the year.
I think he was second. I was like,
he was
what?
Second. So that obsession with AEW is still there.
Right.
But in terms of the mainstream perception of AEW, I'll tell you exactly what happened. It was a bit of a beginner's luck. AEW was pretty good at the beginning, but then the adults left the room. CM Punk left. And that's when they peaked, is when CM Punk came in 2022. They were hitting on all cylinders. They were, if you remember, that was a weekend of SummerSlam that CM Punk showed up in AEW, and AEW was a talking point. They had to get Brock Lesnar to show up to SummerSlam to get people to stop talking about it. But CM Punk was the guy that weekend. Cody Rhodes, creatively, you talk to anybody in AEW made anything about themselves, like a Jade Cargill, whatnot. They'll cite Cody Rhodes as somebody who's a mentor to them. So when those two left, and when WWE got good, more importantly, that's when AEW started to kind of, the bloom started going off of the rose. It's very much like if you're dating somebody who's a millionaire and they've got all the potential in the world, and at their best, they're the best person ever, but then they cheated on you and they don't care about your feelings, they don't listen to you, and they don't answer their phone, they're not responding to your texts. So you meet a girl in a sundress, which was AEW, at an indie festival or something like that, and she's cool for a while, but then your ex starts getting his stuff together or her stuff together. And once WWE started getting their stuff together, they were the millionaire ex with all the resources who was motivated, and AEW doesn't have on that. And they have to be a really, really good product in order to detract from WWE. And not only are they not a good product right now, they might not have been a good product this whole time, especially dating back to the time when Cody Rhodes and CM Punk left.
Well, let me tell you something too. When this, you could probably follow it too. When this story about the production meeting, okay, like, just recently, but we've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
And when we analyze, when we do our show reviews, we bring up things that are production, like like perfect example. And this happens a lot on the show. We always talk about awkward outs. Like when a segment ends, okay, sometimes the characters will still be talking and they'll just kind of end, like the interview, it'll go to another, like that's production. Something will happen in an interview segment, like a guy will get beat up, okay? And in your production meeting, you would tell the announcers, okay, hey, we're going to lay out for you guys here to talk about it for about 30 seconds. And but they just go like right to the next thing, like the entrances and everything. When you start watching the show and like looking like these abrupt ends of certain segments at the beginning of the other one where the announcers didn't even put anything over and everything, it becomes actually more entertaining to watch. If you can because you can like spot the mistakes, and it's funny too because like we had Brian, we had Road Dogg on a couple of years ago when he was on, and we always talked about the just I'm just gonna bring this up so people can start the awkward outs when a segment is over, it very awkwardly transitions to the next segment. There's tons of them on that show on like in a week or like over a course of a month, and you can just spot them right away. But it's like this is the problems that you thought they would have when they started. They hired 4 professional wrestlers to be the executive EVPs. You could tell Cody was the adult in the room because his dad was a promoter. Now, when he left, you're right. It's like they're kind of like the like children, and they're you're 11 years old. It's like your parents are gone. It's like you can figure things out till you get to 15. Like the next 4 years, but like you don't really know what to do. It's like you're a kid. So I don't think the problems will ever be corrected if the media keeps, isn't really going hard on them, because that's what happened at WWE. The media everybody started going hard on them. It was like it was rough. It was like, hey, sucks. And then they made it better. But it's like it didn't. There was no like we're gonna just don't criticize WWE. They're so nice. Don't be a hater. Like that's the funniest thing. Hey, what's a hater now? It's like, hey, I watched a show. It kind of sucked. Everybody agreed it sucked. It's not hate. Nobody watched it. Ratings stunk. There's nobody to read it. It's like, these are fair criticisms. And it's funny, like, having to be, told you're just hating when you're given fair criticism. You've got to feel the same way, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I think is one of the silent killers of AEW. It's obviously not the biggest thing, but there are so many hateable people who support AEW. And there are so many scum of the earth people who, if you say anything bad about AEW, you are positioned as a bad guy, as anti-AEW, right, as a grifter, as a fraud. And when you're just trying to promote the product, like these two things can be true. Like you can criticize AEW while still wanting to support the product. Believe it or not, much like you guys, I'm one of those people. People forget. I once interviewed John Cena, who I asked John Cena a question about Max Caster, and he put Max Caster over to the moon. And this blew up, and it was a very big moment for Max Caster.
My favorite character on the show, by the way, right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Favorite character on the show right now, by the way.
Yeah, I think Max Caster's doing a great job. And because he's not in this professional, he's in this professional wrestling environment and he's playing this character. So it's not really clicking with a lot of the people who are reviewing it. But I think what he's doing with this best wrestler in the world and open challenges that he's losing and being kind of a foil for Hangman, I think he's doing great work.
Let me tell you my 4 favorite characters on AEW. Okay. Max Caster, Harley Cameron.
Yes.
Tony Storm. And Cowboy. And if Darby was still there, I thought Darby was the most interesting character on that show. This training to climb a mountain where like 100 people in the past. He's crazy.
Yeah, I have the same 4 favorites as you, Conan, and MJF is the guy who fell out of my top 4.
Me too.
Darby Allin, to your point, Disco, about AEW's production issues. AEW, if they were a major league company like WWE, they would be doing a documentary. I don't know, maybe they have it planned, but they would be documenting this in terms of Darby Allin climbing this mountain so that fans can have another level of connection with him, because this is an incredible story that's kind of flying under the radar.
But he's supposed to. Oh, and I forgot one real quick. One real quick. Honorable mention: Hurt Syndicate.
Oh, they're great. We hurt people that's the hottest thing in AEW right now. Of course, yeah, that is of course it's the hottest thing in AEW. Their theme song is fire. And nobody's touching him right now.
Yeah. Well, let me just ask Alfred real quick. What about MJF has fallen off for you? Because we get a lot of emails along those lines too, that he's not as good as he was or whatever. What was it for you specifically?
MJF, it's a gift and a curse with him in that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, which it isn't really broke. He's a good character. He's a great promo. He could do what he's doing, kind of like The Rock or a Hulk Hogan. He could do what he's doing for the rest of his career as long as he doesn't go on some rant, and he'll get over doing it. But he has not evolved. And my favorite version of MJF is when he started evolving and the ratings started showing it. The closest AEW came to a turnaround is when MJF and Adam Cole had that better than you, baby gimmick where they were a tag team and they wrestled twice on All In. Unfortunately, Cole got hurt, but MJF, his character evolution started to show, and it wasn't the same scarf wearing, I'm going to cut some low-hanging fruit promo. He was like trying to be a good person. And I thought there was a lot of depth to that. That was the first time I'd ever seen any type of depth to the MJF character where you're getting to see his personality grow and him evolve as a character. But then he went right back to being a bad guy. Why? Because he wanted to be a bad guy. There was no storyline reason for it. It was just behind the scenes. MJF wanted to be a bad guy. Tony Khan has no authority, so he just let it happen, and he's just back to being
not to mention, Alfred, the atrocious reveal of the devil.
Yes, horrible.
That was terrible. Then for some reason, he started fighting with Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia disappeared. Then Daniel Garcia came back, and it's like, what's going on here? Like everything he was doing was bad, and his promos weren't like they used to be. You know what I'm saying? They were very long and you didn't go away thinking, I can't wait the next week. Because there were times when I was like, I can't wait to go out there and cook somebody next week.
Right. The past couple of weeks is. I'll tell you the problem with MJF is who he's working with. It's like you want to see character on that type of character work with the top guys. He's working with Jeff Jarrett. He's working with these. He's working with all people that are below him on the card, and like thinking like, he can elevate. It's like no, but we want to see him wrestle.
Yeah, did you not see that didn't work with CM Punk? They finally
corrected it. Well, I'm just saying they finally corrected it and they're stuck with Hangman now. So that's interesting. I want to see these guys interact on TV. Those are two characters
that's going to be good. You know why, Alfred? Because good promos, good matches, good everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I thought it was very good. And I heard you guys talking about how and I agree that it did go on very long, but I very much enjoyed it, particularly Hangman. I thought MJF brought his A game, but I think Hangman's trajectory has been weird, but I like the fact that he's kind of evolved as a character. I really like that he went from being cowboy and drinking beers with the fans, being this kind of fun-loving, dopey cowboy to just like, you could just look in his eyes and tell that he's become a different person. And that's like a performer thing.
He turned it up a notch.
Great job.
And I thought it was great. It just shows how over he is.
Yes.
When MJF goes, yeah, you burned some guy's house down. Yeah, you stuck a needle through it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's creating moments.
He can do no wrong.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content, and being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones, and thank you for picking us. Boom.